All right, page 2. We're going to start with completing the square, and so this is something we did the other day in class. And so on the exam, once again, it'll be very clear that you need to use this method. If you use another method, you will not receive credit. Okay, so if you look back in your notes, you'll see the written out steps on how to do this. But basically what we want to do is clear out this spot. So I'm going to subtract by 23 on both sides right here. So now I'm going to have k squared minus 12k. I'm going to put a plus blank right there equals negative 23. And so the way completing the square works is I need to come up with a perfect square trinomial. And so the pattern is this needs to be half of this raised to the second power. So half of that's negative 6. When you square that, it becomes positive 36. So I'm going to put 36 right here. So I have to add 36 to the other side to keep it balanced. So this right here factors, it's a perfect square trinomial. So that's going to factor into k minus 6, k minus 6, or just k minus 6 quantity squared equals, and let's see, that adds up to 13, I believe. Okay, and now just like the previous page, we just need to square root both sides. So a little plus or minus right there. So we get k minus 6 equals plus or minus the square root of 13. Not really, there's not anything we can do with the square root of 13, so we'll just leave it like that. And so the last step we'll do is add 6 to both sides. And so we get k is equal to 6 plus or minus the square root of 13. And there you go. All right. We got one more over here. So we got to kind of start out the same way. We'll start by, I'm going to clear this out by subtracting 1 from both sides, so that cancels out. So I get k squared minus 4k plus blank equals negative 6. And so now I take half of this and square it, which is a 4. So then I have to add 4 over there also. So then this is a perfect square trinomial. So it factors into k minus 2, k minus 2. So k minus 2 squared. And then negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. And then what we'll do is we'll square root both sides again. I'll put the plus or minus right there. So that will make this k minus 2 equals. Now here we'll be able to pull out the I. So we're going to have plus or minus I square root of 2. Okay. And so then the last thing we can do here, go ahead and add 2 to both sides, and then that will be it. So k equals 2 plus or minus I square root of 2. And there you go. Okay, so you can expect something like that on the exam, where, like I said, the directions will tell you that's the method that needs to be used. Then you'll get maybe 1 or 2 where you're asked to do the quadratic formula. Scroll down. And so I got a couple here for us to do. Okay, sorry, my computer is acting up on me. If I can get us back where we need to be. Okay, so our quadratic formula. Let's see, so it's going to be negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. And you'll have to know that for the exam, so that's something you'll have to memorize. Okay, so in order to do the quadratic formula, first thing you have to do is set the equation equal to 0. So 69, that one's fine. 68, though, it's not quite ready. You could move the x squared over if you wanted to, but then the a value would be negative, so I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 2x and 4 from both sides, so minus 2x and minus 4. And so what that does for me is I get x squared minus 2x minus 4 equals 0. And now I'm pretty much ready to go. So my a value is 1, my b value is negative 2, and my c value is negative 4. All right. Let's see. So here we go. So let's see. X equals, so it's going to be negative, negative 2, plus or minus the square root of negative 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 4, all divided by 2 times 1. All right. So let's see what we got going on here. So negative negative turns to positive. Plus or minus the square root, negative 2 squared becomes 4. Then here 4 times 1 times negative 4. Once you do all the algebra there, it's going to turn into a plus 16. And then all divided by 2. All. Okay. So then what we can do here is we can go ahead and get this to be square root of 20 all over 2. Okay. And then square root of 20, we can go ahead and break that up into the square root of 4 times the square root of 5 all over 2. Okay. I'm going to have to take up a little bit of area over here. I think we'll be okay, though. So I can go ahead and square root the 4. So I'm going to get 2 plus or minus 2 square roots of 5, all divided by 2. And all means just, these two parts. And so they are all divisible by 2. So we'll go ahead and do that. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So you don't really have to, you can put the 1 if you want, but it's understood in front of that square root of 5. Okay, so basically what I did was I divided both parts by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. That cancels out also, just leaving me with the radical 5. And so that's my answer for that one. Okay, so I have a little bit less room for the next one, but I think we'll be okay. I think I should be able to fit it here fine. So let's see, my A value is 1, my B value is negative 2, and my C value is 19. So here we go. So X equals negative, negative 2. Let's see, plus or minus the square root of negative 2 minus, negative 2 squared, sorry, minus 4 times 1 times 19. All divisible by 2, 2 times 1. All right. So we'll go ahead and clean this up. So let's see, double negatives turns to 2, plus or minus the square root, negative 2 squared is 4. And then 4 times 1 times 19, let's see, I believe that gives us 76. So we're going to get minus 76, yeah, all over 2. Okay. So we'll go ahead and clean that up here. Let's see, working from left to right. So let's see. So now I'm going to have 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 72 all over 2. So you are going to be able to pull out an I, but you can do it now, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this as 2 plus or minus the square root of, let's see, I believe it's going to be negative 36 times the square root of 2. And so Now I'll go ahead and square root the negative 36. Which, so now I should get 2 plus or minus 6i square root of 2, all divisible by 2. And now once again, both parts are divisible by 2. Now be careful. Do not divide the square root of 2 by 2. Those two things are not, they don't have a common factor there. Okay, square root of 2 is not the same thing as the number 2. But anyways, you're dividing both parts by 2. So this part, color. This 2, I'm going to divide it into this 2, and I'm going to divide it into the 6 right there. So my final answer should be 1 plus or minus 3i square root of 2. And that should be my answer for that one. Okay, well that does it for page 2.